For the last few years, the very arteries of global commerce, well, they've been under attack. First, a global pandemic completely shattered our supply chains. And now, something just as powerful is here to rebuild them, but from the ground up. We're talking about artificial intelligence. Let's dive into this incredible transformation.
I mean, just think back a couple of years. It felt like one crisis right after another, didn't it? The pandemic threw everything into absolute chaos, and it forced businesses into this constant state of just reacting. It wasn't about planning for the future, it was all about surviving the next week, the next shipment, the next lockdown. It was pure crisis management, day in and day out.
And that's really the heart of what we're talking about today. The ground is shifting under our feet all over again, but this time it's not some crisis that we're just trying to react to. No, this time it's a technological revolution that's about to change pretty much everything we thought we knew about how things are made, moved, and sold. Okay, so before we jump into all the cool tech, let's set the stage. Let's talk about the people and the businesses that are really at the center of the story. Who was on the front lines of all that chaos? Well, it turns out it's the very backbone of the entire global economy. 90%. That number is staggering, right? That's how many businesses around the world are considered small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs. These aren't just part of the economy. In a lot of countries, they are the economy. So you can bet that when they get hit, everybody, and I mean everybody, feels it. You might also hear the term MSME, which just adds micro businesses into that group. But the key thing to remember is this. We're talking about the overwhelming majority of companies out there. The local shops, the small factories, the ones that aren't the huge corporate giants. And in that tough post-pandemic environment, these businesses were getting squeezed from every single direction. Research from groups like the Indian Institute of Materials Management showed they were battling this crazy mix of rising costs, new taxes, and growing debt. So to stay afloat, working harder just wasn't going to cut it anymore. They had to start working smarter.
And this is where the human element really shines. You see, before any fancy technology could ride in to save the day, businesses had to fundamentally change how they thought. The solution they found wasn't in software, but in a whole new mindset.
They turned to this concept called agile. And no, it's not just some corporate buzzword. Being agile became an actual survival mechanism. It's the ability to pivot on a dime, react to whatever the market throws at you, and somehow find a way to succeed even when everything is completely unpredictable. What's really fascinating is that a global survey basically boiled survival down to these 7 key principles. It wasn't about one magic fix, but a total change in how they operated. For instance, they focused on value-driven lean processes, which is a fancy way of saying they cut out every single piece of waste they could find. And they prioritized a quick response to market changes, which meant ditching rigid yearly plans and learning to make big decisions on the fly. You know, these weren't just nice ideas anymore. They were literally the difference between staying in business and having to close your doors for good. So here's the crucial takeaway from all that. Businesses learned how to be nimble and resilient because they had to. It was do or die. And in the process, they built this brand new foundation based on human agility. And it just so happens that this new foundation is perfectly positioned for the next huge evolutionary leap. And here it is. This is the technological revolution that is building on all that hard-won agility. We are talking, of course, about generative AI. And hey, don't just take my word for it. A really thorough report from KPMG puts it pretty bluntly. This is a game-changing technology. We're not talking about a small, incremental improvement here. This is a fundamental, rewrite the playbook kind of shift in how businesses buy, manage, and source absolutely everything they need. So, just how big of a shift are we talking about? Well, look at this number. KPMG's analysis suggests that somewhere between 50 and 80% of the work that's currently done in procurement could be automated or maybe even eliminated entirely. This isn't about making people a little more efficient. It's about fundamentally redesigning the work itself. So, what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's break down how this technology is creating a completely new operating model for how business gets done. Gen AI is set to touch every single stage of the procurement process. We're talking from the highest level strategy and sourcing all the way down to the nitty-gritty of managing contracts, dealing with suppliers, and paying that final invoice. It's a complete end-to-end overhaul. And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. You've got the old way, where a person is sitting there manually typing up a request for a proposal. In the new way, AI just creates it automatically.
Instead of a whole team of lawyers spending weeks reviewing a contract, AI can instantly analyze it for risks. We are moving from a world that is slow, manual, and usually reactive to one that is fast, automated, and predictive.
And the payoffs here are huge. They go way beyond just saving time. We're talking about getting strategic insights at a scale that humans could never, ever achieve on their own. We're talking about personalizing every interaction, having an AI co-pilot always there to help you make better decisions. And all of that leads to massive savings, huge gains in efficiency, and ultimately a much smarter, more connected business.
So, the transformation is coming. There's no doubt about that. The question for every business leader out there now is shifting from if to how. What do you need to be doing, like right now, to get ready for this? Well, experts see this whole thing rolling out over the next 3 to 5 years in 3 main phases. Right now, we're mostly in phase 1, with people just experimenting with it. Pretty soon, we'll hit phase 2, where AI is just built into the software we already use every day. But the end goal, the big prize, is phase 3, a single, integrated AI that works across the entire company.
But let's be realistic here. This journey is not going to be a walk in the park. There are some major hurdles, from a serious lack of skilled talent and old legacy systems that just can't adapt, to the very real risks of errors, fraud, and data security. These things have to be managed, and managed very carefully.
So, how do you actually start? The advice is pretty clear. Don't try to boil the ocean. You gotta start small, with specific tasks where you can get some quick, easy wins. Get your data in order. That is so critical because AI is totally useless without good data. And maybe most importantly, this has to be led from the very top, with a strong, clear strategy for using AI responsibly.
And this brings our whole story full circle. That agility and resilience that businesses were forced to learn during the pandemic, that tough, gritty human response to a crisis, has accidentally created the perfect foundation. It's almost like it prepared us for this new AI-powered future. And as KPMG concludes, this isn't something you can just sit back and wait for. This is a massive opportunity for leaders to be proactive, to get out ahead of the curve, and to completely redefine their role as a strategic force for the entire organization. So we'll leave you with this one question. The revolution in how we make and move everything, it's not on the horizon anymore. It's here. It's happening now. The only real question left is, are you ready for it?